This meeting is being recorded.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Ohio Christian University Sports Information Director, Dave Holt. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right, Brandon. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get into working in college athletics?
So as a basketball player here and just living my whole life in athletics, I have always loved figuring out people and figuring out the athletic brain and how you can make a difference in the growing mind of an athlete. And so after being out of it for 4 or 5 years, I just felt like I needed to get back into it. And luckily, the Ohio Christian Sports Information Director position just randomly popped up on my Indeed, or I don't even know where I found it, but it popped up and I was like, now wait a second. I went there. I still have some connections there. Why not? So I spoke with my wife and a couple friends, and they're like, go for it. So no, I love working with collegiate athletics because every day is different and you never know what you're going to face each day. So yeah.
What was it like, obviously, playing for Ohio Christian?
So mine's a little bit different. So why I didn't actually play any minutes on the varsity, the actual team, but through the opportunities of the coaching staff back then and the opportunities that the players just absorbed and brought me in, I was able to stick with it and be on the practice team. Or my mindset back then was, I may not get minutes, but I'm making that person better and I'm making that teammate better. And this kind of a weird backwards way of an athlete's mindset, I think. And I'm sure if I talk to any athlete, they're like, all right, that was stupid. But it's just something that I loved and I love doing. I mean, I like getting you better. And so, yeah, with my 4 years here, I was blessed to be able to be a part of 2 national championship teams. The only 2 national championship teams in the university's history in athletics. And so that's a super cool thing. And back here, I got a couple of the rings back there, and just a super cool, unique thing in the history of Ohio Christian, and to be a part of. And I'm blessed to be able to be there.
What was that like, obviously, being the team manager and going to those national championships?
Surreal. Our freshman year, my class's freshman year, we had a different coach, Curtis Christopher, and being a freshman, coming out of high school, and not knowing what that feels like. Now, granted, it was the NCCAA, so when you say national championship, they ask you, oh, Division I, Division II. It's like, nah, it's a little bit lower, but in the mindset of an NCCAA athlete, it's the world. And so being able to go there, experience, it was held in Springfield, Missouri that year. Being able to experience that, it was just tremendous. And I wouldn't change it for the world. We went back there that next year, and we got third in that first year. The second year, won it, and had the whole parade spiel when we came back, and it was definitely a surreal moment. And thinking back on the memories, it's fun being able to just text or call up some of those teammates and say, hey, you remember when that happened? You remember when this happened? Something stupid, something so small. We go to Bass Pro Shops or something down there. You remember when we, I don't know, hung out with the stuffed bear, like stupid things. But you can bring up just memories, and it's fun to reminisce in it. And that second year, back-to-back championships, and then third year, I don't really want to talk about it, but got bounced in the first round. So that wasn't the best feeling, but it brought us down to earth and said, all right, you can't always be up there. You're going to have down years, and we certainly had a down ending to that season, that's for sure.
What was that like, obviously being the statistician for each athletic game?
Stressful, a little bit. Knowing that whatever you do on that computer is what the fans see, and whatever you do on that computer, that's what the conference or the league sees, athletes, and it can affect the future of that athlete's stats. I mean, you can be the deciding factor on whether that athlete had 500 rebounds or 499 rebounds. And just the knowledge of that is like, all right, I got to get this good and right. But yeah.
What was that feeling like of obviously leaving your alma mater to go into high school basketball and then coming back?
That's leaving Ohio Christian and then coming back. It was, I'll be honest, it was a little frustrating. I mean, the high school basketball was fun, but the, I guess, real life job wasn't as fun as I was expecting and hoping for. The dream is to go into a field, work college, or graduate college, and go straight into the work field that you want to go into. Not the case for me. So I, at the time, I was working at a sporting goods store in Chillicothe, Ohio, and retail is not fun. No matter what anyone says, it's not fun at all, especially for an athlete that wants to do more and more and more. I mean, I made it work. I made it a competition in myself, but it was what it was. So getting back to, whenever I first started high school basketball, or I guess grade school basketball, it was the middle school or the junior high at my old high school, Waverly High School. And I was able to, I feel like, impress on the young athletes coming up, and try to put as much knowledge in their head as a 7th and 8th grader can have in their head. And it was a different type of enjoyment, and it was really cool just seeing them grow and seeing how they could express themselves and get better in their own way. Maybe not even on the basketball court, but in the classroom and wherever they could go. I mean, being a student athlete, you have to be a student first, athlete second, is what I always say. And that's what I wanted to put into their head, is like, you may or may not go to college to play basketball. Like, and this is 7th grader looking at me like, but I'm like, no, you're probably more than likely not going to get to college to play basketball. Just plain and simple. You got to get your grades up, got to work on that. And being able to say that wholeheartedly, I think that seeing the basketball growth was great, but seeing the personal growth was even greater.
What was that feeling like when you did come back to your alma mater to become the SID?
It was a whirlwind. I'll say that. as we were talking about off screen, we have had a little bit of turnover, a lot of turnover in the last couple of years. And the connections that I had to initially get me here didn't end up being here. They're currently not here, and I've been here since July. So, and so it was a whirlwind of information, a whirlwind of learning more and more. None of these students knew me, so that was refreshing. That way I can almost start fresh and kind of plant my flag in what I believe and where I can see this athletic department can go. Obviously, I'm not the athletic director, but I'm fully behind what George does and what we as an athletic department can become, and because I've seen the joy that can be here. And I want it to continue to grow, and these athletes to continue to love Ohio Christian University of how I loved it as a student.
What is a typical day in the life, obviously, as a sports information director at Ohio Christian?
So it's different day to day. If it's a non-game day, say it's Monday, I'm coming in off the weekend, and if I look this direction, I'm looking at my big board of all the home games and different things I have planned. But if it's a Monday, and say like this week, we have a doubleheader softball game on Friday, a single header baseball game, and a doubleheader baseball on Saturday. I'm looking at those SIDs or coaches, the visiting coaches that'll come in this weekend and say, hey, can I get your updated roster? Can I get your maybe information on your school if we were to have commentating and different things on our live stream? Is there anything that your team needs? Is there anything, because I'm the SID, but I also, within that is communication, and I have to be that communication piece between Ohio Christian and West Virginia Tech. That's the softball game that's going to happen this Friday. But I have to be the mediator between those two and make sure that everything works well for the visiting team, and to make sure that game day is as smooth as seamless as possible. Now, if it's a game day, I work very closely with our game day manager, Blake, and he deals with a bunch of the setup and tear down and everything during game day, or in the beginning of the game day, and then I deal with a lot of the student workers, and my hand is on the student workers. Like, all right, we need people to go do this. We need people to go do that, and so it's a very hectic day if I don't start on Monday. Friday is a very hectic day if I don't start on Monday. I have to be able to prepare my stuff and what I'm going to have to do on Friday before I even touch where the students are going to be. So yeah, I mean, I toy around with putting a label on my door that says Trailblazer Therapist, because I have a couch in here, and I don't know how many times a student will just come in here, sit on my couch, and just I'm like, all right, close my laptop. What we have today, type of thing. Like, what we got to talk about today, and we'll just talk. And so it's really everything. It's really so many different things. It's different every day.
How important is it, obviously, to have that open communication with the other teams, SIDs, and coordinating the games?
How important is it?
Mm-hmm.
Very important. I mean, production game production is huge in my mind. And even though we are an NAIA Division II program, I want to get as close to an NCAA Division I program as possible, in production value and just game feel, and everything. So being able to communicate that early, with the SIDs or coaches or whoever I'm speaking with, makes that game day again runs seamless and smooth, and that way we can just run with it and not have to, like, oh shoot, we got to go over there. Oh, we got to go over there. We don't have a trash can. Like we don't need, like, stupid little things like that fans don't really think about a lot of times. And like, oh, we need, if it's a basketball game, oh, we need X amount of chairs for the team. Oh, we need, which is not necessarily for us, but it's still in my mind. The athletic trainers provide the water. They provide a water cooler for them. Like, in my head, I'm still thinking, oh, that needs to be there. Like, there's so many moving pieces to a game day, that communication is key. And really, it's communication is key here, but communication is key anywhere. Like, you have to be able to communicate well.
Can you talk about, of course, serving as a liaison between the coaches and players and then the members of media?
I think it's a fun situation. I call it a situation because it can be, but I think it's fun being able to, well, let me rewind. I think that coaches have a certain idea. A lot of coaches have this certain idea of how their team runs and what their athletes' mindsets are and what they think is happening. And then athletes have the same exact type of thing, just could be completely two different ideas. And so being able to speak with the athlete and say, what's on your mind? Like, what there's been a couple real moments that I've had with some of the athletes. Is like, why did you suck that bad that last game? And they'll look at me like, what? I said, listen, you know, and I know you could have done so much better. What was that situation? And so being able to talk with them about that, because some athletes are different, and maybe they, for whatever reason, don't feel comfortable going straight to the head coach or straight to their coaches. I don't personally feel that way. I would have gone straight to my coaches, but some athletes don't. So being able to be that mediator and say, hey coach, I was just talking to so-and-so over here, and you might need to talk with them a little bit. Like, their head's not here. Their mental side isn't here right now. So no, it's fun. It's fun being a liaison. It's a tough word.
Of course, as a sports information director, what is it like, obviously, going through the process of getting coaches onto sports media podcasts and platforms like that?
I can be real honest with this one. I haven't necessarily been able to accomplish this season, from jumping 10 toes deep this year. I have been controlling what I can control, and then growing as I go. So like next year, that'll be a huge thing on my plate. But if I could give like a general answer, I think that just being able to talk with them like a human being, and just being able to talk with them as, hey, I think this could be really big for your program. I think this could be really beneficial. Getting your name out there, getting your athletes out there, getting their faces shown, not on the court or not on the field. But getting their voices heard at the same time. Gives publicity to the university, good publicity, I hope, and but also good publicity for the program as well. Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
What is the difference between obviously a sports information director and a sports media director?
That's interesting because I kind of do both, if that makes sense. So I guess sports media director and sports information director. Sports information director is more so the stats and the nitty gritty behind the scenes things that people just assume that happens. Like a lot of people just like, oh yeah, they stats, like, oh yeah, go look at the stats, go look at that. But no one thinks like, okay, how those stats become where they're at right now? How do they become final? How do they, and that's the sports information director's job. That's the not so glorious position of the not so glorious area of the position. That's the idea. Whereas the sports media director would be more so like being able to put out oh my goodness, programs. Can't think today. Putting out the programs, putting together the live stream production, putting together the commercials and different things for live stream. I guess in a way it's sort of the behind the scenes as well, but your work is more broad in the sports media world, whereas the sports information director is more funneled into stats and funneled into the computer website, different things like that.
What's it like, obviously, for you to be involved in the sports on the behind the scenes side?
What's important?
What is it like being involved on the behind the scenes side?
Okay. I think it's kind of fun because one, if you mess up, a lot of people don't know it's you. But if it's in the department, everyone knows it's you. So there's also that double-edged sword there. But I think it's a fun challenge for me because I can slip behind the curtain and attempt to orchestrate how fans perceive the game. And I can kind of pull the strings in different directions to where maybe like one big thing that unfortunately I wasn't a part of, but I prosper from it now. The previous people in the department got us a score table to where you put your scoreboard, your stat computer, your official book, stuff like that, for indoor games, and it's an LED scoreboard. I can throw almost anything up there and just change the game like that. So one big thing that I thought it was pretty interesting this year is, and I'm not sure if it's happened before here, but Allie Coyle, our volleyball coach, she asked me one game, she was like, hey, I've got this recruit possibly coming. Is there a way to put her name or her face or something up on the score table? Because I know there's a bunch of graphics over there. Is there a way to do that? And I was like, well, yeah, I think that's pretty simple. I had never done that before. I had never created a graphic before. I had just been using the same ones that the previous people had used. And so here I am in my office, like, all right, how in the world am I going to do this? And it was a fun project to be able to do. But now I can literally just take out, remove, paste in a new person, or do whatever I want in the realm of that graphic, and put up almost any graphic, almost any still graphic that I can on there. And I personally, I think, and well, I know that some of her recruits that she had through, they noticed their name, and they noticed that their face was up on the board, and they talked to her afterwards, like, I saw, like, the mom had said, like, I saw so-and-so's name up there. That's so cool. That's different. I was like, well, that's cool. Like, I love it. And so little itty bitty things that fans don't normally notice, I think that's the most fun I have in the profession.
Was it like obviously being involved on that side where you talked about obviously when the recruit comes on the official visit?
For the most part, I'm not necessarily within the visit. Most of the time, for whatever reason, I just so happen to be in my office, and my office door is always open. Anyone can walk in, really. Except for right now, I've had about 6 people peek their head in, like, oh no, I can't go in. But for the most part, my door is always open. So every once in a while, a coach or a recruit tour guide, I guess you'd call him, from the admissions office, will bring them through and just say, hey, and kind of introduce me. And I get to have a face-to-face interaction with them. And that's pretty fun. Just knowing what's going through that student athlete's head, and seeing them face-to-face before they even get on campus, or before they even, I guess, become a college athlete.
Of course, as a sports information director, what are some of the things that you tell your coaches that obviously when they come on the interviews and podcasts that they can and can't say?
We try to stay as real as possible, but obviously negate the negative a little bit. I mean, we'll be honest, we haven't had the greatest of seasons this year in our athletic program. We have had better seasons, say, from last year. So it's always a step up, step up, step up. And I believe each sport has taken a step up from the previous season, which is awesome to me. I love it. I love seeing it. But if we have interviews or something like that, we just try to promote the student athlete. I mean, and in doing so, I think it'll raise the morale of the team, morale of the athlete in general, or specifically. Yeah, I think that's the most important thing, is boosting morale and boosting team chemistry at the same time.
What is something that you learn now that you didn't know before becoming a sports information director?
What have I learned? I would have to say be able to adapt to literally any situation that comes to fruition. Even if you think you know what's about to happen, chances are you don't know what's about to happen. And you have to be able to prepare for the unexpected. And there's been numerous game days that I'm like, oh, we're good. We have all the student workers in place. I have my the live stream situated. And then, well, something silly, but also detrimental potentially, is the power goes out. And it's like, great. Now we have to ease the tension, ease the crowd, and get this thing moving as quickly as possible, and get this game started back again. Things like that is like, you don't prepare for that. Like, you don't think ahead and say, all right, today, so the power is going to go out at 2:30 p.m. and then we're not going to have any lights, and we're not going to have whatever. And you don't prepare for that. So I guess always be prepared for what you can't prepare for. Be able to move along, and just keep moving.
What is it like, obviously, for you to balance, obviously, being an SID on the college level and family life with always, as a SID, being on the clock?
It's tough. It's definitely tough. This school year has, I think, the student athletes and everyone has, we have a daughter, 2 years old, Paisley, and I think the students have really gravitated towards her. But the trick is we live 25 minutes away, and it's not feasible for us to just get up and move to, or get up and go to the campus. I work here every day, but my wife, it's just not feasible for her to just get up and take Paisley to the campus to run around in circles. So I think the distance has been a little daunting. But in all, I think I can see where it can go, where it can take our family. And that's the ultimate goal for me. And I think that having our daughter and future kids, potentially future kids, within an atmosphere like that, within a family atmosphere like that, I think that's the greatest thing that I could do for my family, and just the morale of our family, and just to have fun with the student athletes and my family at the same time.
Of course, what are some of your future plans with Ohio Christian as the sports information director?
Gosh, I could give you a list of 27 items. Over the year, I've seen a lot of things that I don't particularly enjoy. The way that, say, media day is working. I'll say I've already told the athletes that there are going to be different things happening next year's media day. I can't say too much, but it will look different. I haven't really pieced together that yet, because I mean, I'm looking at April and I've got about 15 more game days ahead of me. So I'm not really even looking at intensely for next year. But once April's done, and probably more closer to mid-May, that's when I get to work and figure things out for next year. I think just continuing the growth of the morale for the student athletes in general, and student workers at the same time. We've ran into some bumps this year, and I've taken note, and we will continue to grow as a team. We may not be an athletic team, but we are a team of game day operation people, and everyone has their role, everyone has their spot, and it's just learning that everyone has their spot and every spot is important. I think that's the biggest thing, is like just making sure that the student athletes know that they're important, and the student workers know that they're important.
What advice would you give future SIDs looking to get started in being SIDs on the college level?
Job shadow. That's something that I didn't do. Shadowing anyone that you can in the field. Try to shadow all levels too, because yeah, you may have aspirations of being the SID or being something at like the Ohio State University, but you also need to know that a branch school like Ohio University Chillicothe branch, you need to know that they need people as well, and you can get experience through that position, and then move along and just move up the totem pole per se. And yeah, so but shadowing first is huge in any profession, but athletics specifically, because there's again, like I said earlier, there's so many moving parts, and there's so many things that you may not even understand, and you may not even grasp that, oh shoot, that's part of this position. Oh, I don't really like that. Maybe I shouldn't go into this. Or you're like, oh, well, I didn't know social media was in this, and I love social media. I bet I could probably do this type of thing. Like there's different aspects to this position. And I think shadowing, I just had someone at a local high school shadow me. And I think it really changed her mind in the world of athletics. She had mentioned that she had previously shadowed someone in the business world, just the business administration, I think she had mentioned. And she found out after that job shadow, she's like, I don't think I could be a 9 to 5 in my cubicle every single day. I don't think I could do that. And then after speaking with me, she was like, I wasn't thinking that I could be in this role, but I think it'd be fun, like to dive in. I was like, please do, because there's such a need for sports information directors. All the little things that happen in a department, chances are it's a sports information director or a game day manager that does it. Not to take light from athletic directors or head coaches or anything like that, because they do incredible amounts of work in their field. But a lot of times the sports information director is the one that does all the little things that you don't really think about. So yeah, job shadowing is huge.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media, along with Ohio Christian University's sports program at?
So my social media, my personal social media, I'd have to look it up. But our Trailblazers social media is on Instagram and Twitter. It's OCU Trailblazers, at OCU Trailblazers. And our Facebook is Ohio Christian University Trailblazers. We do have a YouTube. Currently, I do not use it at the moment, but I do plan on using it. And it is also Ohio Christian University Trailblazers. Let me look up my personal. My personal is David_Holt 32. And I believe that's on my Twitter and Instagram. But I mean, if you get on there, you're just going to see it. Yeah, that's the same thing. You're just going to see a whole bunch of my family and fun things that my daughter, and fun and goofy things that my daughter does. So might cheer you up a little bit.
Thank you again, David Holt, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as the Sports Information Director for Ohio Christian University.
No problem. Anytime.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, David Holt, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Yes, sir.